This time of year, I think we're all gathered in the kitchen or in the family room around the Christmas tree, enjoying some time with family and friends. The conversation can get loud, which can be fun for most of us, but if you struggle with hearing, it can be a little bit frustrating. So lucky for us, Dr. Tiffany Ahlberg is back on the show. She's with Ahlberg Audiology, kind of giving us an Education 101 on just kind of some terminology, I guess, in a way, so that if you're one of the people going, "Hey, honey," from the other room and they can't hear you, you can know why.
Right. There's something simple, and it's easy math, which is my kind of math, but it's called a signal to noise ratio. And that just means we always want the signal of the sound to be louder than the comparative noise.
Okay, when you say the signal, does that mean like the originator of the sound?
Yes, so
like
the person, the speaker that you're talking to, that might be you, it might be the TV, whatever it is that is your primary source that you're trying to hear and understand.
Okay.
So if like just in audiology terminology, if the noise and the signal are the same, most of the time people can still understand that, even when they have a hearing loss. So that's called a zero signal to noise ratio. But that's still realistic that someone with maybe even a mild hearing loss could still hear in that situation. But as the noise gets +5 or +10, and that's in dB, so when it gets louder and louder and louder, then that signal becomes dampened, and then realistically that person isn't able to hear that as well.
Okay, so let's use just a typical example in most people's houses. Let's say it's supper time and you're in there cooking and you have a TV in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. So the TV is probably on. Mm-hmm. The water's on in the sink. Mm-hmm. There's something on the stove and it's sizzling and making sounds. All those things. Maybe your back is turned to somebody.
Right. Yes.
That signal is just not going to carry.
Yes, this topic came to me last night just because my daughter was watching TV. She had it on really loud, and then my husband was trying to talk to me while I was on the couch with her in the TV room, and I was like, I mean, that had to have been a +40 signal to noise ratio. So like his voice was way softer than the TV, and I couldn't understand a word he said.
Please tell me, as nice as you are, at some point when he did not pick up on the hint that you couldn't hear him, please tell me you finally said, "What?"
No, I just ignore him.
Okay.
I just like
whatever, as long as you're normal. Okay.
Yes.
Well, and I brought that up purposefully because if you live with I mean, first of all, whether your hearing is compromised or not, you just can't hear beyond walls and background noises.
Yes.
But if you do live with somebody who has a difficult time hearing, for both parties, it can be a little bit frustrating.
It is. It's
and
very
eventually you snap.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, somebody does a lot.
Or ignore.
Yeah, I mean, it's, around the holidays too, I hear that a lot.
Okay, so if you're the person with the hearing loss, you're probably a little bit emotionally sensitive to it, at least for a while. So it might be more difficult for you to be the one to suggest, "Hey, can we turn that down?"
Yeah, and I think this is where a lot of times people just leave the conversation and they become totally separated from other people because they're not a part of the conversation. They're not understanding, and they're too intimidated to say, "I don't hear you."
Right.
Like it's, they're embarrassed.
Right. So if you are the child or the spouse or the parent of someone who has that situation in their life, maybe you can be the guardian for them, right? And say, "Hey, can we turn that TV down?"
Yeah,
and
definitely.
take it off of their shoulders.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, and you have to look realistically, evaluate the room, and just think about realistically, would they be able to hear me? I mean, if you put yourself in that same situation, what is a realistic environment for that person to hear in? And if they have hearing loss, it just becomes harder and harder.
A lot of people this time of year will go out to eat, right? They'll meet friends for dinner. Is it better, when possible, to be sitting across from someone as opposed to next to someone?
It is, but you also have to evaluate, I mean, a booth is better than just a table. On the side wall of a restaurant is better than smack dab in the middle of the restaurant. Going to a restaurant with, maybe carpet or wallpaper is going to help deflect some of the background noise compared to just an open ceiling, hard floors, just brick walls.
Right.
All of those things cause a harder environment.
Okay, besides what'd you call it? The
booth.
No.
Signal to noise ratio.
That was it. Besides that, is there anything else that we should be thinking about this time of year?
Well, just it's Christmas, and we all want to be nice to each other and not have arguments, and so just to have a lot of patience. And I was telling you a minute ago, sometimes my friends and I make games of it, and we're like, I just heard you say, "Smell my elbow." That's not realistic, but it's funny sometimes. So maybe have a little humor around the Christmas season, and and just have fun with it, even though it can be really frustrating. But just be nice to your loved ones.
That's always good. Every month of the year, that's good advice. When it comes to the noise, though, in the house, and you mentioned the TV being loud, if you have a hearing loss, naturally, I would think you're going to be playing things louder anyway, right?
Right.
So if you live with someone and they're doing that, is it better when you can to try to get some early intervention as opposed to just living with it getting louder and louder?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I have people every single day that once they finally decide to do something, that's the first thing that they tell me. My TV went from 40 or 50 down to 15 whenever we, fit them with something. So it's definitely hearing loss. It's you want to get something done about it, but it takes people a while sometimes to make that decision that that's what they want to do.
Okay, so that'll be my own challenge in my house. If my teenager's yelling at me from upstairs, I'll just try to be really nice and say, "What?" as opposed to yelling. Is that my...
Well, yeah, you can only do so much with kids, but...
So you can find Tiffany and her team at Ahlberg Audiology in Cleveland, 641-0956. I know we kind of laughed our way through this conversation today, but I think the thing I would tell you is that she really does have an empathetic ear and understanding for what it is to be walking this part of your life's journey, and she listens to you quite literally and will guide you to the right solution for you and your whole family. So
Definitely.
AhlbergAudiology.com.
Thank you.